Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Sips and Trips. I am Jennifer, one half of the Sips and Trips team, and tonight we are so excited. We have our guide from Brazil, Isabella. She is coming to join us tonight, so we're really excited to speak with her. And we have a sponsor tonight. So I'm just gonna add Tania into into the live. Technical difficulties, so please bear with me. I think she should. There we go. Hi.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good.
How's your day been?
It's been really good. I had a little day date. I took the day off today to handle a couple things, and then I went to the lip lab today, and then we had a cute little lunch. So it was a nice little day off. How was yours?
It was pretty good. Tell people about, because I know, like, as much as you love travel, you also love your beauty products and your lipsticks. Tell us about your lip bar experience because I don't think that we have that in Houston. And
Mm-hmm.
so,
So the lip lab is it's where you can go to actually make your own lipstick, lip balm, lip gloss. So I made a lipstick and a lip gloss. They put the perfect shade together for you. You can tell them if you want more red, more brown, and then they put it in these cute little tubes, and then you can engrave it with you pick a name for it, you can pick a scent for it. It was really cute. The customer service was really good. I'm not sure everywhere that they have them, but I know they have one in like the Phoenix Scottsdale area. I know
okay,
there's one in Vegas. I think there's one in Charlotte, and I know that we now have one here in the DMV.
that's fun. And so, what's the price point like for that kind of experience?
So you get a bit of a discount the more that you buy. I got a lipstick, and I think the lipstick was $50, and then I got a lip gloss, and I think that was 30. Um,
Okay.
and so it was I spent about $80, and then because we had a little hiccup with the timing, they threw in these cute little makeup bags for us because we had to start I think an hour later than we had planned.
Oh, well, you're definitely gonna have to show us what your outcome was and your story later. I know you probably don't have the stuff with you, but I want to see. I like that kind of stuff. So that's
Okay, yeah, I'll put it
fun.
out. If you guys are interested, I'll put it in my stories after the live tonight.
Sounds good. But yeah,
So,
today was just a regular work day for me. I'm
mhm.
in Texas, and so we're in the middle of a freeze, and so really everybody is trying to stay from outside. I think temperatures yesterday, with me being in Houston, hit into the low teens, and that's not common for us. So our
Right.
schools have been closed. People have been off of work. And yeah, so it's been a stay in the house, bundle up, stay warm, and I've been enjoying that. For me that means staying in the bed unless I have to get out and work. So.
Absolutely. It's been abnormally cold here too. I went to go walk the dog today, and it was 16 degrees. And
Yeah,
we didn't always have like low temperatures like that. It would get cold, but not like this cold. So today I was like, oh, should we cancel our plans? Because the hawk was hawking
yeah.
today. So, and I can only imagine you guys are not used to
No,
those
but
teens.
the crazy thing is that by the weekend we'll be back to our regularly scheduled program with like 60-degree temperatures. And so I think about for me, it's like, okay, so now we're about to be sick because we've
Hmm.
dealt with these temperatures in the teens, then it's going back up fast. Life kind of goes back to normal. And so it has not been a fun time right now. And I actually don't mind cold weather at all. I think we talked
Hmm.
about that. I don't mind, like, because you can bundle up. Like, I know how to put on enough layers to where I'm not freezing, but we worry about our roads because our infrastructure
Hmm.
is not set up for that kind of weather. Our drivers are not set up for this kind of weather. And so it's been
Hmm.
your best bet is to stay in the house because of all the other factors. But for me, the cold isn't it, it's everything else.
It's the ice
So,
and everything else that come
mhm.
along with that. Yeah.
Yeah, and so, and our one of the biggest public school districts in Texas is Houston Independent School District,
Hmm.
and they've been going through a lot with like the district pretty much got taken over by the state because they were not able to meet standards, and and so they were like assigned a superintendent especially, and everybody's in the uproar because he was like he wishes that he wouldn't have closed down the schools, even though he was praised by the mayor for closing down the schools and keep people off the roads. And I'm like, so it's a whole bunch of drama related to this weather that's getting ready to come down. But
That's a
I'm
lot to
here.
deal with. I know you made
For
it.
sure, for sure, for sure. And so, for those of you that are just joining us, my name is Tania of Travels by Tania, and we have Jennifer of Red Lips and Passports. And tonight's episode with our guest for tonight, you guys, I am so excited about. If you've been joining Jennifer and I, we went to Brazil in September.
Hmm.
Isabella orchestrated not just a great itinerary for Brazil, that was absolutely one of the best trips in my life. Like
Hands
by far. I'm talking
down.
about I've been to 30 plus countries. I have a travel company. I'm a travel writer. So I'm used to having carefully curated itineraries for certain destinations I go to, especially when I'm highlighting them for a published piece. But this trip from start to finish was absolutely amazing. And so before we hop into Isabella, what Mingle mocktail are you trying out tonight for tonight's episode?
Girl, my
I wonder if
favorite,
we're hitting it with
the
the same
cranberry
one.
Cosmo. It is so
Okay,
good.
I like
The
that one a
cranberry
lot
Cosmo
too.
is so good.
But I'm in love with the blackberry hibiscus Bellini.
Hmm.
It's so good. Like it's so refreshing. Um, Jennifer really is the one that's kind of opened up my palate to mocktails because, to be honest, my perspective on mocktails has been, restaurants are starting to incorporate mocktails a lot more into their menus and things like that. But I can't justify, for me, paying $14 for a mocktail with no liquor in it. So I've always been like anti mocktail. But when you come across products like this, I am cooked. I think I've now tried every single flavor, especially because they've sponsored this episode. And so we've had a chance to kind of become acclimated with the product to make sure that if we're sharing it and giving good reviews about it, that we are able to give, the most accurate
Hmm.
information. And I have not had a nasty Mingo mocktail yet. Like, I love them.
I was trying so hard to save the drink for this episode. I was like,
Same.
don't drink it all because the cranberry is light.
It's
I had
great.
bariatric surgery, so it's very like bubbles can be very uncomfortable for me, and they are carbonated, but it's very lightly carbonated. The flavor is good, and they're only 60 calories, so you're not, drinking your calories because 60 is very low in the grand scheme of things. So
Right. And I don't know if y'all saw last week's episode. If not, the full episode's available on YouTube. But last week I was drinking their mocktail version of a margarita, and that one is great. The only one that I still have not tried yet is the blood orange mimosa one. But I'll probably get into that one tonight. But every flavor, because I think that they sent us every flavor, right?
they
I think we've had them all.
I had them all. They didn't include every flavor in mine because I didn't have the cranberry Cosmo. So
Okay,
I
I had that
actually
one.
had purchased that prior to them sending us the box. So I knew that I had really liked that one. But I do not like the blood orange mimosa. But I don't like
Okay.
blood orange. I
That's
don't
what
like
I'm
blood orange.
worried about. Me and Blood Orange. I'm worried about whether or not I'm going to like that one, which is kind of why I saved it for last. But if you go to Mingle Mocktail's website right now, and Sophia, one of our amazing team members, she dropped their ad in the comments. They're offering 40% off their website right now. So whatever you purchase, it's 40% off. These drinks are worth it. I can vouch for everyone except for the blood orange, but it's only because I haven't had it. Jennifer didn't enjoy it, but if you enjoy blood orange, it might be for you because these mocktails have been spot on with incorporating the flavors that are in their labels and in their ingredients.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's go ahead and bring on Isabella. She is just so amazing. So I'm really excited to talk to her tonight. I'm gonna go ahead and add her. You guys know how Instagram can be.
But don't worry, we're coming up with some
Here
issues
she
with some
comes.
ways around it. Hey,
Isabella!
Isabella!
You look so
Hey!
pretty.
We haven't. Now I feel like I haven't seen you in forever. Now that I see your face, how have you been?
Hot like hell. In Rio, we had the thermal sensation today of 107
Oh,
Fahrenheit.
Yikes!
oh wow.
super
So you're
hot.
making us jealous because it's like 16 degrees here.
Right.
No,
And
you're
we've been dealing with
making
a
me
freeze.
jealous.
I'll switch anytime. I'll switch. I would
Yes,
definitely switch.
I
Do you
would
want to
switch in
switch?
a
That's
heartbeat.
it.
A
That's
heartbeat.
it.
What season is it currently there?
I'm sorry?
What season is it currently there?
Summer is
Okay,
up.
so it's summer. Okay.
Yeah, and
How
then
Okay,
about
so
fall?
when we
we'll wait until March when um you turn into spring, we turn into fall.
Okay,
mm,
got it.
okay.
That will
So is that
be
typical
better.
weather?
That will be better. Yeah.
You think spring is the best season to visit?
No, I think fall is the best because
Okay,
we have hot days, but the nights are better, not so hot.
got
So during the
it.
day, leave the house with a blouse like this, and you come back with a light coat.
Oh,
If you want to
yeah,
come
that's
back by the end of the day, so you need to get prepared to the changes. And it's something like the variation during the day is something about 10 degrees. So
okay.
for us, is a lot.
Right.
And
I could
Yeah.
definitely see that.
25 Celsius for us is like, oh, I can get a jacket.
Are you
Yeah.
serious?
And see, that's kind of like it is in Houston. The variation here, like right now, we were in the late teens. Now we're mid 20s. By the end of the week, we're going to be in the 50s and 60s. So that's how extreme our weather is currently. Like we're talking about a 40, 50 degree difference. So that's a whole lot. But Isabella, for those that are not familiar with you and your company, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and what you do um, to our viewers tonight?
Sure, sure. So I've been working with tourism since 2006 as a tour guide. And in 2018, my sister and we decided to start this company together. My sister was unemployed. I was in having hard days with as a freelancer. So we decided to start this company together, put our abilities, our expertises together. And I knew nothing about management at the time, and I
Oh,
needed
wow.
to learn all about business and so on. And my sister, she was like the wind under my wings because she was holding everything that I needed to create. And this was like far from one of the best things that I ever have done in my life because as a black woman, the society doesn't believe in you, and everybody looks at you like, mm, can you really do it this? And once you do it, it's not like a big thing, but you did it.
Mhm.
You planned, you started, and you went to all the ups and downs that the entrepreneur, oh my God, create an enterprise
Entrepreneurs.
has,
Uh-huh.
and you continue to go. And we had
Hmm.
covering all these things, all this process. We were like little babies when COVID came, and we were starting to get connections in other countries, and people were talking about us at the time. And then we suddenly stopped all the activities. 2020, I don't know what happened because the pandemic was going on all around in the world, but in Brazil it started only after March, only after we have carnival. So
That's why.
we started to worry about it. And I remember to start to talk with you, Tonya. It was something
Yeah.
like in the beginning, early 2020 or
Hmm.
late 2019. And we stopped everything. We stopped all the conversations about traveling.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, what now? What am I going to do now? So we took this time to study more and more about the business, about how to um, uh, how to try to create other exits to still make money without ending the company. And at that time, I was doing something like that. Nowadays, I look back and I say, oh my God, that was so ridiculous. But I did what I needed to do, you know? So to keep my travelers motivated to travel, we did some live sections where I was, you know, teaching how to make caipirinhas, some Portuguese
Oh,
phrases that be useful, and we started to create, like you did, this partnership with the drinking company. We did with another drinking company here in Brazil that sells cachaça, and the idea was to sell and delivery through Amazon the packages of cachaça, so people could do their own caipirinhas, learn with me, and do their own caipirinhas online, because the life was online.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, I look back and I say,
I was just trying to survive. I get it.
But you
Let
did
me
what you
tell
had
you
to
what
do.
for
yeah,
sure. So when me and Isabella first started talking, it was Brazil wasn't even on my radar. I don't know why, but I did not have any immediate trips coming up to Brazil, and so we started talking, and then COVID hit. And one of the things I decided to do during COVID, because like Isabella said, I went from 2020 getting ready to be one of my biggest years as thus far to every single trip being canceled across the board. And at that time, I was still a school counselor. So I'm like, is this the point where I have to shut down my business? Because, you know, we didn't know what the state of travel was going to be, especially not. And at that time, I didn't stop traveling during COVID. I'm going to be honest. I kept traveling. I was getting all the resources and things like that. But I didn't feel comfortable encouraging my clients to do the same thing because it was ghetto at times. Like you land in a city and then realize, oh, y'all shut down because Houston never shut down. It's 6 o'clock. I can't eat. And so I had to figure out like what was my pivot going to be if I couldn't save my travel company. And so I went through a program called the Sure Program, and we started talking about that because then Isabella was like, no, we did a similar program, and can you tell us about the program you did and what kind of distinguishment your company got? Because you're the kind of the one that encouraged me to go through the program I went through to make my business better. So do you want to share your experience with that and yours?
yeah, sure. Do you know the Shell Live Wire program? It's an international program. It's over 40 years. It's sponsored by Shell, and they have this in several places in the world. And in Brazil, they have it too. At the time, I was not that young anymore, but my sister, that is my youngest sister, um, she was old enough to be in the program. So we joined this program, and during this, it was when we started to learn more about marketing and about business management, and we create our business plan. And this was very important because our business plan for the next, it was in 2020. So for the next 3 years, which means covering until 2023, was so accurate. We did everything we planned, and almost at the time that we planned it, except for one thing. Now we are having to replan everything because by
The
the middle
visa.
of 2023, we have done. We did everything. So we
That's
started to go in a different direction over beyond this because everything that we had in our plan was done. And this was
great.
something fantastic because once we could see, because my sister has this, she she's not optimistic person. I am this kind of person. She sees herself more like a realistic person, and she keep me on track, you know,
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
because I want to create and I want new things and I want to go beyond all the limits, but things have limits and we have limits. You know, we are moms, we have a family, we have a house to take care of, we have a company beyond it all.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And you can do it all.
Yeah. And you've shown us that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've worked with a lot of different tour company owners, like a lot of them. Because that's one of the missions for my company is that I like to meet someone local that I can work with, instead of kind of spreading money out through a third party when we can work together directly because that benefits small businesses in general. The service that you and your team provided from top to bottom was superior. Even when things happened, I knew if I called you, you were going to find a way to handle it. And that's so big because that's not always the level of service that you receive, especially when you're working with smaller local companies, and your team delivered on that. Is that something that you guys worked towards building when you went through the program, making sure that you were able to provide a certain type of service? Did you build that into your plan?
You know something? The program, it talks about business in general. So there you have several kind of business. You have people working with tourism, people that works with technology. There was a company. There were three companies were finalists in this live Live Wire, Shell Live Wire, because in Portuguese it's called Iniciativa Jovem, like a youth initiative.
Okay.
But the international name is Shell Live Wire. So there were three finalists, and the third place was a company that worked with cells. They created a environment to when you do some tooth when you remove a teeth
Tooth
and you need to
extraction.
like
Uh-huh.
yes,
Implant.
they create a kind of a membrane to cover it and reduce the rejection of your body through this. So it was science,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
And second place was a company that produces cosmetics, natural cosmetics. They were black guys, black gay guys. And Trevor won the first place.
Oh, wow.
One,
Congratulations.
Yeah.
each one of these companies won from Shell some money
Mhm.
to invest in their business,
Okay.
you know. So the idea was to invest to buy equipment and everything you could need to be able to continue your business during this next years. It was not that much money, but it was enough to,
Right.
settle the basis. It
Got it.
was very nice. It was very nice. And also we have a network, you know. So all the companies that pass through this um, program all around these 40 years, they are for 20 years in Brazil. All the companies that are still running for sure are part of this network, and you can connect with these other entrepreneurs and make partnerships. So now I want to make a partnership with this second place, the ones that produce cosmetics, and see if they can put together some things that would be good to black hair, black skin, and to us to put in a swag bag, like a welcome pack to our
Yeah, that
guests.
would be nice. Because the welcome gifts that you gave us were really good,
Were
good.
the
So I can
chocolate.
only imagine.
Oh my God, the chocolate. I need to send you some money and my address to mail me some more. Like, the bags were amazing. So I know that you talked about having to kind of redo your business plan, because you guys have kind of been able to meet everything. And then Brazil threw something big at everyone in tourism, the
Yeah.
visa process. How do you feel about it, and what are your thoughts on it thus far?
I'm feeling like this is a new chapter of 2020
Another
when I
chapter of
can
craziness.
control when I can control what the government does, and they do things. When I look at the SWOT analysis and I see this and I say, "What? Are you trying to kill me?" But seriously, seriously, originally they had this plan to the beginning of January, So they postponed it to April now. But the idea is kind of paying back, especially to the United States, Canada, and Australia. No, Canada, no, Japan. That usually every time that a Brazilian needs to go to one of those places, they make the most absurd requirements. Like they
Oh,
want to
got
see
you.
your bank account, to see how much money do you have, to check if you are not going to be an illegal immigrant that wants to start a job in the United States or any other country. So the idea is exactly this one, to like to pay back. I don't think the visa is super expensive, but it's more about the process, because when a Brazilian goes to the States, we need a interview, we need to present several documents, and we need to prove that you are going because you want to visit, that you want to stay just a few months. So, but
So it's
it,
like it's payback.
That's an
yeah,
interesting perspective,
Wow.
and it makes
Okay.
sense.
I'm glad I didn't do my content for it now, because now I know the exact reason of why they're doing it. So thank you, Isabella.
but actually is easier than it seems. It seems more complicated, but in the reality is really easy. I have a client and also a friend, because after he came to Brazil for the first time in 2022, he decided to learn Portuguese and come back again in 2020 to stay for 3 months. So he got a visa that is, oh my God, Nomad visa, something like this.
What is it? Say it
What?
again.
What? A nomad?
I'm not sure.
Maybe I'm not saying it right. Sorry, English
It's
is not
okay.
my first language.
It
It's fine.
No,
You do
but
not
broke
have to
up real
apologize.
bad on my end, so I actually missed a couple of seconds of it. It broke up on my end. Did it break up on your end too,
It
Jennifer, or
did,
just
but I
my end?
caught the very end of what she said, so I couldn't. But I didn't understand. I didn't know what the word was.
I will type
Okay,
here. I will type for you.
Okay.
okay. And I missed
Nomad.
some of the context. Can you repeat what you said,
Oh,
Isabella? Just the last
nomad.
sentence or so. Okay. He became a
Maybe
digital
I'm not.
nomad, so
Maybe
he's
I'm not
working
saying
from
the
Brazil.
word right.
Got it. Okay,
And
got it.
Yes, digital nomad.
with this kind of visa, he was able to work from Brazil, like working remotely from
Mm-hmm.
Brazil, and he
Mm-hmm.
could stay here for 3 months. So he arrived in São Paulo, flew to Salvador, stayed in Salvador for 3 months, and then he came back to São Paulo for 2 or 3 days. And in his last day, his flight was canceled.
Oh,
And I
Mm,
wow.
said, Brazil is sending you a signal.
yeah, for sure. So with the current visa, once it starts, how long will people be able to stay?
How long? What?
Will travelers or tourists be able to stay under the current visa that's getting ready to come out? If it's 3 months on the nomad visa, what is on a regular visa?
120 days.
Okay.
Legally, 120 days. After
Okay.
this, you need to leave the country. Even if you go to Uruguay or Paraguay, there are neighbors, Argentina, neighbors of Brazil, and then you come back.
Okay. So then
Okay.
resets your visa if you
Yeah,
do that. Okay.
Is
It's
there
really
okay.
interesting
Yeah.
to me the different requirements, how depending on which country you're from, that dictates the requirements for a visa. Because I went
yeah.
to Australia and my visa process was so simple. I didn't have to show any documentation for like my bank account or anything else. But then if you coming from Brazil and you're visiting there, then you have to show much more information. It's very interesting. It should be the same across the board, to be honest.
Right.
But
It's just
here we are.
a stamp, right? It's just a stamp.
Mm-hmm.
You know, another privilege I never think about as Americans, I really never worry about submitting a visa application and getting denied if I meet the criteria. But I know that for people coming from other countries, your visa can be denied, and sometimes it's like, if I did everything, why is it being denied? And I think that it kind of makes sense for different countries to start saying, because y'all make us do so much, we have to start putting some pressure on
Yeah.
America as well, and giving more standards. That definitely makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was,
So
go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No,
One of the things that I
I
like the
say-
most, would you say?
I was saying that you create the standards.
Yeah,
That's
The rest
for
true.
of the
sure.
world
Yeah.
follow.
And unfortunately, everybody has to pay for it. I know a lot of people are like, "Well, I don't want to share my financial information with a foreign country,"
Then don't
but
go.
then don't go. But also, it's like if they're asking everyone, "Do you think that they want to scam the millions of people that are coming to Brazil?" Absolutely not. Like,
Right,
when I had posted about it on Threads and on Instagram, I got a lot of messages about it in my DM, and I was like, well, then don't go. I mean, there's 96 countries out there. Like, you have a
Oh
lot to
yeah.
choose from that
right,
that are not going to make you show your bank statement. So, pick one of them, because the Brazilian government is not going to change their mind just because you don't like it.
right. Or because you decide not to go. Like, unfortunately, the phrase "one monkey don't stop no show" just keeps getting more and more accurate as we continue to get older. Um,
Absolutely. So one of my favorite things that I enjoyed about your company is how you guys really took care of every single aspect of the trip. Like when we went
everything.
to the night, everything. So I mean, y'all, from the nightclub, like they picked us up at midnight. They were like, "We're here with you until 2 in the morning. After two
Yep.
in the morning, then you guys have to go. Have to find a way home on your own." They took us to multiple places in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Um, it was like it was really cool. But I remember one funny thing that happened. We were hungry, and we were like, "Oh, we're hungry." It was the middle of the night. And I don't remember his name, but he was like, "Oh, there's a burger place up here." And when we looked, it was Burger King. We were like, "We don't want to eat Burger King."
What did we end up eating that night? I think we ended up eating off like a food vendor
Yeah, I
stand or
think we
something, huh?
ate off like a
Aretha's
food
or
truck or something that
something.
was sitting right there. But it was so funny because he was like, "Oh
Yeah.
yeah, they have good burgers. It's right here up the street," and it
And
was
we had
Burger
walked
King.
to that burger place. First off, we walked to it and we're like, yeah, we're about to get some type of authentic Brazilian burger. I was like, I know you
It was
lied.
Burger King. It
Playing
was,
in our face.
but I
I
was so
traveled
thankful.
9 hours from the United States to eat
To go get
burgers.
a Whopper Junior with cheese, no onions.
Yes, but you were so thorough. I mean, like, and then I loved how my another favorite aspect of the trip was in between our excursions, how you gave us the lesson in playing in the samba band and
Mm-hmm.
the lesson in Portuguese. And so it was like everything was just included. You had thought about everything. And I just like how the entire experience, we were always learning. I mean, even at the nightclub, we were learning how to do the Brazilian line dances. Like everything
Mm-hmm.
was like an educational experience. And I was really thankful for it.
Uh,
Same. And speaking of the things that you provided for us, Isabella, one of the other big ones was the food. We were eating at places that there's no way that we could have found on our own. And one of the things you told me, because I got there before everybody else, you were like, well, yeah, Brazil is known as like being a place for foodies to go. And I didn't really know that either. And the food was amazing. Yeah.
Ever since we got back, I've been everywhere I see rice and beans on the menu. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get rice and beans. And
rice and
none of
beans.
them.
It's
It
it's
has not.
never
I
the
have
same.
not had rice and beans the way those rice and beans, the mashed potatoes. I mean, everything was
The
so.
oxtails.
And so I told Isabella, I was like, oh, I make really good oxtails, and I was like, but is oxtail expensive here? And she said no, and I said, well, for me to make oxtails at home the way I like to make it, it cost me almost $200. And here she sends me this picture of this huge plate of oxtails. I mean, and she probably spent $10 on it.
That's
Something
amazing.
like
And I
this.
love oxtails too. What were you going to say, Isabella?
It was something like this. It's not that expensive for us. It's not something that most people will enjoy oxtails. No, so it's not that expensive.
Yeah,
What are
I
some,
was. Go ahead. I'm
oh,
sorry.
sorry, go ahead.
Go
And I was
ahead.
just going to say, if people were coming to visit Brazil, especially with it being known for its food, what are some recommended places and or dishes you would encourage them to go if they're wanting to experience authentic Brazilian culture and good food?
So it's hard to say because when you say Brazilian culture, of course, there is a huge contribution of the Portuguese cuisine and also the indigenous cuisine. Okay, but I consider that the major contribution was from the African cuisine because once we were enslaved here, we were responsible for cooking. So
Mm-hmm.
everything that we did, the spices, use it, the kind of herbs that would be in the food, and how much sugar, salt, everything would be prepared by us. So I consider that this African influence in the Brazilian gastronomy is huge. So I would recommend in Rio de Janeiro feijoada, which is a black bean soup with pork meat. You tasted
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
this side with white rice and cabbage.
Mm-hmm.
Is it
Uh,
cabbage?
That's
Okay.
right.
uh,
Mm-hmm.
Which is delicious. It's very traditional in Rio de Janeiro. All the other states of Brazil, we eat feijoada too, but they will prepare not with black beans. With brown beans, white beans, other kind of beans. Black beans are used only in Rio de Janeiro. I don't know why. Most common kind of beans, probably.
okay.
I would recommend bobó de camarão, which is one of my favorite dishes, which is kind of a puree of cassava root. Um, so with the same consistency of a puree, but uh, inside of this, it has shrimp and comes side with the white rice
Everything
That
and
has white
sounds
rice.
good.
white rice and can come with some farofa too. I forgot to say about farofa. Farofa is very common in Brazil too. The one that gives the crispy consistency
Mm.
in the food. And a third thing would be churrasco. Churrasco is the Brazilian barbecue, and the
Yes.
way we do barbecue is totally different of the way you do. With all my respect, hamburgers and sausage is not a barbecue. Sorry. So we put in our barbecue have a mayonnaise salad, not cook it, of course, but as a side dish, white rice, farofa, and we have several different kind of meat that we bake in the churrasqueira, which is the thing that cooks
Mm-hmm.
the barbecue. So
What was
we put chicken, sausage, different kind of meat. We have ribs. We have um, several. Too much, you know. If you only have one or two, it's not a good barbecue.
what was the name of the restaurant that you sent us to that was similar to what we have here, the Brazilian steakhouse?
Um, hard
It was by the water. You said there were two or three Brazilian steakhouses that you recommend. Asada? No.
Now I got to go
Estero?
through
asador,
my folder.
asador,
Asador. Yes.
asador. Tell
That was so
everybody about
good.
it.
Oh
So good, right?
my God. They should have put us out.
They should
When
have
you talk about how
not
many
even
meats
put
that
us out. They
they
should have rolled us
had,
out.
yes, we ate everything that came by the table. We stop and we say, okay, turn your so. If you've never been to a Brazilian steakhouse, you pretty much have like cards you use to signify whether or not you're still accepting new food. And so, green, you still want more food. Red, stop. We would like Jennifer could have her card on green. I would turn mine to red. As soon as I saw her get some more food, I would turn mine back to green and I would eat some more food. We just kept eating. We could not stop. It was
The
No, the
the
idea
food was
is you turn it into green and then you eat. And then you're gonna accommodate the food, so you turn into red. Have some drinks, some chat, some love,
turn it back
and
to
then turn
green.
it to green again. It's a little bit more.
and
This is
everything was
something that
like so good.
Yeah.
Brazilians go for this, go to a rodízio, a Brazilian steakhouse, to spend the afternoon. We don't go just to have lunch.
Oh, you
Lunch
spend
for
the whole
us,
afternoon.
yeah, lunch for us is the main meal in the day. Okay, so we don't
You
have a very um, tough uh, dinner, or sometimes
Hmm.
we don't have dinner. Eat something like a hamburger or salad or soup or some light
Okay.
food at the end of the day. In the beginning of the day, we don't eat that much. Most times we need to leave early. So lunch is the main dish, is the main meal for us. So we
one
need to have a comfortable food
yeah,
during this.
for sure.
Hmm.
One of the things I appreciate when I travel to other countries is kind of that community feel when it comes to lunch. Like people have been sitting there for a couple of hours, they're talking, nobody's scarfing down their food, nobody's rushing to leave. It kind of gives you that sense of community and that family feel that so often in America we don't have because we're always in a rush. Even thinking about the way that in Brazil there were four of us that traveled there and just sitting around the table, just talking. We talked about so much. We laughed so much. And I think too it was because our dinners took so much longer. And so you were forced to kind of engage and be personable.
Hmm. You know, another
Brazilian.
highlight. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, no, I was about to say that Brazilians, they have this thing. You met a person today, and in 10 seconds, it seems like this person is your best friend forever.
Mm.
Hmm. I can see that. We met some really
We
good
did
people
meet
in Brazil as
a
well.
lot of really good people. Um, I had two things. So one other highlight of the trip, which I thought was funny, was first of all, you're so knowledgeable of everything related to
Everything.
Rio. And for those that don't know, Rio de Janeiro, it translates to the River of January. She taught us that while we were there. But when we went to Escadaria Celarón, when we went there, am I
Yeah,
saying it right? When we went there, the famous steps that you see everyone in Brazil, she told us not to take our photos at the bottom of the steps because that was the popular area. So she had us walk up
yeah,
the steps. She was going to take us to the right spot, and she was like, "Oh, let's pop over here." So we went into this random little spot to get a caipirinha. You guys know we were drinking caipirinhas the entire time on the
By
trip,
9 every day.
and so after we all got our caipirinhas, and then she said, "You know why I told you guys to go in there? Because I knew that it would not be crowded once we came back out." And so as soon as we came back out, we were right at the exact spot that we needed to be at for our photo, and
Yeah.
we had the perfect photo up. And nobody was I mean, people were in the background, but nobody was standing right there in the spot that we needed to take our photos at. And I was like, how did she know?
Yeah.
yeah.
That
I've been doing this for a while. I've been doing this for a while. So, what is good about this? Is good. The good part of this is to know, for example, January and February are the peak of the high season in Rio de Janeiro. We have the carnival that is like the craziest time ever, and I don't recommend nobody to come to the city for the first time to a carnival. If you want to see the real Rio, then skip carnival for your first time. You can come again a second time for the carnival, and you're gonna see the changes. But if you want to see the highlights of the city, carnival is not the best time. It's a lot of drunk people in the streets.
Hmm.
That's the first thing. Sometimes the streets don't
I'll be
smell
one of
good.
them.
The lines to the attractions are huge, and even with a fast pass, it's not gonna be a good experience. But especially because of it's the cruise season.
Okay.
So think about two or three cruises with 3,000 people. I'm talking about a small one. 3,000 people that wants to see the same things that you want to see. And I know by my experience that all the travel agencies and tour operators, they do the visit to the attractions at the same time
Mm.
because the sunlight. So the best photos, but sometimes it's super crowded. So I think the experience doesn't work, you know. So I
Mm.
always
Right.
recommend to everyone skip the carnival for the first time
Uh-huh.
and don't come during summer because it's hot like hell. It's hell de Janeiro during this time. It's terrible. You feel suffocated with the heat. It's only comfortable you if you are in the water, you know, in a swimming
Mm.
pool or in the ocean, then it's comfortable. If not, but during all this fall months and even during winter, we don't really have a winter. Our winter is something like 30 during the day is 30 uh 30 degrees, 30 Celsius degrees, which is not that hot
Hmm.
like
What is that? What does that translate into Fahrenheit? 30
I
degrees
guess it's
Celsius.
80,
Oh,
80 or
okay,
something.
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah. For me,
comfortable
that's
weather.
comfortable as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Isabella.
a
Oh,
comfortable temperature to go to the ocean, to go to the beach and
right.
not burn, you know, not get melt. And enjoy the other places because it's not that crowded. Not
Yeah.
so
The
much
beaches
there.
were nice when we were there. It wasn't super crazy.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that we know is that there are a lot of myths and rumors about traveling to Brazil. Everybody doesn't always recommend that you go. What are some things that you want people to know about Brazil, dispelling some of these travel myths and some of the negative things that people may hear when they're thinking about going?
So I've been Googling and I discovered that one of the things that people research about Brazil, two things that people most research about Brazil are, is Brazil violent, like a dangerous place? And the second thing is about a Brazilian woman. So two myths that I consider are one, um, it's about the sexual tourism in Brazil, which I can't deny that is something big, but it's not that big as it seems. And
Mm-hmm.
the thing is about this violence. Okay, I always tell to my black peers, my clients, that for us being black, we don't look like the expected tourists, you know. So people expect tourists to be with the blonde hair, blue eyes, light skin. So we don't look like tourists. As long as we don't, take too much photos, like act like a tourist all the time, you're gonna be okay. You're gonna be comfortable. And of course, learn some phrases in Portuguese is very useful too.
I, rem-
For
I
sure.
so I know like people when I was telling people I was coming to I was going to Brazil, they were like, "Oh, it's so dangerous! It's so dangerous!" And I was looking it up, and I'm like, "Okay, well, I do see that some areas are, more unsafe than others, but that's the same
As
as here, right?"
with
And I
most
feel like
destinations.
a lot of times when I'm traveling, um I exercise the same caution that I do when I'm at home. And today I did an interview, and one of the interview questions was, have you ever felt unsafe? And what when traveling, and I could only think of two destinations that I had ever been to when I was like, oh, this is a little bit unsafe, but it was the situation that we were in. It did not mean the entire country that I was in was unsafe. And the only time I was like, oh, let me go back to the table. We were we were out. I don't remember what restaurant we were at, but we were eating. I think when we went and got burgers at some spot, it was the night that they were taking
Okay.
us to the
Yeah.
club. And I went to like the pharmacy, and when I was coming out, this guy was like, "Hi, can you help me buy some diapers for my baby?" And I was like, no, I cannot help you buy diapers for your baby, because I was like, this is going to open up a can of worms, and I'm
Yep.
not going to know how to get out of it. So I like went right back to the table. But it was just that one instance that was like one questionable thing. I went out and walked the street by myself while everybody
We were
else was
out at night
sleeping.
and
We
everything.
were out at night. We walked, I mean, kind of far. When we went to go find food, we walked kind of far away. It was, and we didn't feel unsafe. Nobody bothered us.
Hmm.
It's really just all about exercising caution. Would you go somewhere like down a dark alley at night at home? Absolutely not. Then don't do it in Brazil either.
Right. And I
Yeah,
know
if you
one of the
don't do
things that,
home, don't do it any other places.
Right.
and when I talked to Isabella, when she said they don't know that you're not Brazilian until you open your mouth. So at
Right.
nighttime, I made sure I tried to talk as least as possible. So you don't know if I'm a tourist or if I'm a local. But then the other thing that I think you told me was don't be on the beach at nighttime. And so you only have to tell me something once if I'm
Hmm.
out the country for me to exercise caution. But if I know that this is an area where at nighttime they rob people, I can't go out there at nighttime and then be upset when I got robbed. Like, this is what you did. And it's one of those things to where sometimes we look at places because of what Google says, and it's like it has these. Make sure that you actually research facts. And I thought about this one time that happened to me when I was getting ready to travel to, I think I was traveling to Egypt, or I was traveling somewhere, no, traveling to Turkey after the coup attack. And they were saying people are stuck in the airports, they can't do this. And I'm thinking, but I'm like, my flight hasn't been canceled. I haven't got any official source saying if I travel to this airport, it's shut down, it's any of these things. I went to Twitter and I'm like, if people are stuck in the airport, they are going to tweet about it. And when I would hear stories like, oh yeah, this person is getting robbed on a beach on this particular beach in Brazil. If I go to Twitter sometimes, which is not the, if I can't find an official news source and I can't find any real time updates, I always take things with a grain of salt.
So it's funny you say that because I experienced the same thing when I went to San Diego. We were like, let's do a day trip to Tijuana. So we did our day trip to, we were, and someone said, our pastor told us they lived in San Diego. They were like, our pastor said that you should not travel to Tijuana. And they were like, it's unsafe, it's this and that. And I have a very hard time taking advice about traveling internationally from people who, one, don't have a passport, and
I was gonna
two,
say
ain't never
that.
been nowhere, right? And I'm like, oh, it's unsafe. My favorite website when it comes to travel is travel.state.gov because it's going to give you the
Yep,
tea on whether or not you should go to a specific destination. And so I'm like, okay, well, let me look it up because I haven't heard that, Tijuana isn't safe. I looked it up and it just said exercise caution. Well, I do that in America. So I
right.
think I'll be fine. So you have to be really careful listening to what other people say. Ask an expert, right? Ask
Yeah.
somebody who's got a you stamps in the passport, you know?
And if something is going on real time, like if people are involved in something and right now at this moment that it's happening, you're going to find something on social media 9 times out of 10 to show that this is, people could be in the middle of a mass shooting, they're going to pull their phones out. You are going to find live something. If you can't
Absolutely.
find live something and it's not on a reputable source, there's no news channel reporting that there are no of these things. If they are saying this week in Brazil, so and so happened with tourists in Rio de Janeiro. Find a reputable source. Can you
Makes sense.
substantiate saying it's too dangerous for me to go?
It makes sense. And also because sometimes we live in bubbles, and we
Hmm.
don't see things that are out of our bubbles. For example, I heard from some of my clients more
Hold on,
help
you're
more.
cutting out a little bit. I don't know. Can you repeat it? It's
Yes.
like I don't. Okay, go ahead. I think it'd be good now.
I heard from some of my clients, male clients, that they felt more uncomfortable, like more unsafe in the United States than in Brazil.
Yeah,
I'm not
So
even
it's
gonna
all
lie.
about the
Yeah,
experience,
absolutely,
absolutely.
absolutely.
the experience that
Yeah.
you have.
I'm honestly almost every country I've been to, I felt more safe than I did here. I remember when I went to Iceland and I was doing my research on what it was going to be like there. And they said, don't be alarmed if you see people leave their babies in their strollers outside of
Hmm.
stores, right? And I was like, what kind of child abuse is this? But in Iceland, there is no crime. And so if it's
Yeah,
not uncommon for you to leave your baby outside, run in and get your eggs and your milk, and come back outside and get your
Yeah,
baby, and your baby will still be right there.
like
I'm
nobody
telling you,
wants a baby.
right? When I went to Turkey, there was a lady that had a toddler with her and a baby. I've told this story before. The baby was maybe about 6 or 7 months. The toddler was about 2. And he was running around doing his thing, whatever, he was tearing the people airport up. But she, I guess, had to go change the baby's diaper. We didn't speak the same language. Um, Somehow we exchanged, I guess, eye contact and gestures enough. I ended up babysitting. That's my whole nephew. Like she went to change the baby and she left me with him. And I'm like, for you to feel that comfortable to just leave this stranger who you don't even speak the same language to, that shows that the kind of crimes and foolishness that we deal with in America sometimes is not something going on in a lot of other places in the world.
What a lot of people don't realize is that when you go to like the embassies at other countries and you look up, like we have the State Department to look up whether or not places are safe. When you're in other countries and you look up whether or not the United States is safe, we're on the travel warning list for
And
mass shootings.
as
Yes,
we should be.
we should be, right?
As we
And
should
and
be.
it, and so it's a reality check. Like you see the difference. I mean, like when someone sent me the screenshot of their embassy, they live in Australia, and they sent me the screenshot of what their embassy warning is. I was like, you have to be. I was like, I wasn't like, you have to be kidding me, but I was like, wow, you never know what they're saying about your country.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And the bad part is you can't even say, well, that's not true. You have to be like, well,
Actually, it
actually,
is.
I
they
never
didn't tell a lie.
I never been in the United States, but a friend of me said that he was from the United States and he was checking the difference in the lines. When he was coming back, there was a line where the sign was saying a lie, like Alice. I'm sorry, like people that are not from the United
Hmm.
States should stay in school, and people that are from the States should go ahead, like straight. So
Oh,
maybe because you pass through this so many times, you don't realize that there is a different line.
oh no, I have seen it when you're going through customs. Yep,
Customs.
I have seen it before. Hmm.
And so, as we're coming to the end of today's live, I know that one of the places that we always talk about is Rio de Janeiro. But when you and I talked, you talked about there being so much more Brazil than just Rio de Janeiro. If people are visiting Brazil, where would you recommend that they visit outside of just Rio de Janeiro?
So I would recommend. I think that Rio represents a lot of Brazil because uh, the government in the past, because of the carnival, puts Rio de Janeiro as a symbol. Okay, choose Rio as a symbol. But I would say that there are so much more in Brazil. Brazil has 26 states, and Rio de Janeiro is just one of this. Okay, so there is a state that is one of my favorites in Brazil, that is Bahia. I have a friend from Bahia watching the live here, and the capital of Brazil, of Bahia, is Salvador. Salvador was one of the capitals of Brazil, the first capital of Brazil, and it has so much Black history inside. It's one of the blackest cities outside of Africa. About 70% of Salvador's population is black. So it's a place where
Oh,
you,
wow.
when that you walk around and you don't have the staring eyes, people that look at you with a staring look, and you can use your wrap, you can use your African clothes, and you're gonna feel comfortable. People is very friendly. The food is amazing, and I think that Salvador is like Mecca to the Muslims. Every black person should go to Salvador at least once in their life, and there is also um, some places in this northeast part of Brazil that are so beautiful. You have waters like the Caribbean water waters. and places that are so beautiful and way much cheaper than Rio de Janeiro, where you're gonna eat delicious food, you know, fresh food, seafood. It's amazing, just amazing. Places like Alagoas, that is nearby Pernambuco. Both places have a very rich Black history there too. And there is Maranhão, and there is Manaus, and there is also the indigenous history that we know feel about it, because you know, the indigenous are not writing the books,
Mm-hmm.
teaching
Right.
in the universities yet, but we are, you know, slowly taking these places, and there are so much to discover in Brazil. So I always say that 5 days to Rio de Janeiro is a good time. 5 days. You're gonna see most things in the downtown, but Rio de Janeiro is the capital of a state that has 91 other cities. So if you want to go deeper, you need more time. You need to do as my friend did and stay for 2 months so you can travel a little bit around.
Absolutely. I would love to stay for 3 months because I had such an amazing,
For sure.
amazing time. Brazil is high on
I'm
my
going
list for
back. I am
um
definitely going back this year. It's on my list to go back and stay for a few weeks. And it was an amazing trip, amazing trip. And if you're not already following Traveler XP, why not? You see why her company is able to do the things it's able to do. Like, it's not just our experience. She was able to win the Shell competition with the business plan that she was able to put together. The service was amazing. If you are going to Brazil, you want local resources. You want people that are on the ground, people that have a real knowledge of the lay of the land. And that's one thing that you get with Traveler XP and Isabella for sure.
absolutely. And I'm coming back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yes, I'm coming back and I'm definitely coming to see you.
yes,
Thank
please do
you,
it. You're
Isabella.
Absolutely. Thank you
welcome.
so much, Isabella. Instagram is going to cut us off after a certain amount of time. So we just want to say thank you for joining us tonight. We hope that you'll come back again.
Yes,
So
I hope you do it soon.
Yes.
yes, definitely, definitely. So that's it for tonight. We want to thank our sponsor, Mingle Mocktails. Again, you guys can find Mingle Mocktails in your local grocery stores. Check them out. They have amazing flavors. And be sure to follow Isabella at Traveler XPBR. And you can find them on TikTok and Instagram.
Thank you.
Good
Bye,
night.
everybody. Good night.
Bye.
Bye,
I
Isabella.
love to be with you today. Bye bye.
Bye
Bye.
bye.